one on the right hand side.
Cool, here we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday morning recruitment focus webinar. So we've got the lovely Darryl Newman from University Hospital Plymouth with us today. Hi Darryl, and he's going to be talking about the wonderful opportunities the University Hospital of Plymouth can provide. UHP, as we like to call it, they've got a large community of international staff there already. So please remember to ask any questions in the chat box on the side, and we will do our best to answer them. So I'm going to hand over to Darryl, but I will be on the call. So I'm just going to put Darryl live. Okay, hopefully. Just sending live. There we go. Thank you, Darryl.
Polly said, my name is Nursing and Clinical Professionals Lead for University Hospitals Plymouth, and as she said, we're known as UHP. We're down here in the southwest of England, and what I'm going to do is give you some background about the hospital and a little bit about the opportunities and the programme that we run down here. So, providing everything goes well, I should be able to share a presentation with you. No. There we go. Okay, can I just confirm that people have got that on their screen?
Yeah, we can see it in the small picture.
Yeah.
If you want to enlarge it, you can.
It's larger on my screen, so.
Are you able to start it as a PowerPoint?
Cool. So this is a group of our nurses at the end of their OSCE training, at the beginning of the programme, just before they get their PIN, which is hopefully the process you want to go through with. So like I said, we're in the UK and we're right down here in the southwest region. So there's Torbay where Carly and Jack are hiding today. Okay, apparently it's sunny there. We're slightly gloomier today, Plymouth, and then North Devon, which are all part of the same partnership with Cornwall on the end there. Okay, and obviously London over to the east. You can see that in a bit more detail. All right, and
Sorry,
some of
Darryl.
this is areas that we cover as a.
Sorry, Darryl. Are you able to start it as a PowerPoint? It's just showing a sort of a small slide and then all the other slides down the left-hand side.
It is a PowerPoint. I've got it up as a PowerPoint.
That's strange. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you using two screens, Darryl?
Now. Yeah, I can unplug the other one.
It might be just
better?
We're looking at the when you've actually opened the PowerPoint instead of your other screen that it's on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Can end show. Start again.
Well, we're up to 100 people watching. It's fantastic. Please pop your questions in the chat.
Right, is that better?
Right. Not coming up at the moment.
Okay. It's up on my screen, so.
Yep. Yeah, nothing coming up in a minute.
See that? Is it up now?
Nothing at the moment. Would you like to email it over to Jack? Jack, would you be able to share it?
Probably.
It might be better for Carly if you, because you've got the full control. I
Yeah,
haven't.
Should we try that?
Yeah, I could do that quickly. I'll just shut it down.
Just bear with us, guys. We're just sorting out a few technical issues. It won't be long. Lovely to see so many of you on here. Yeah, you're popping the questions in the chat. Yeah, so absolutely. So someone's just asked if the webinar is just for people chosen for interviews. No, our webinar is anyone who'd like to watch.
Right, it should be coming across to you, Carly.
Yeah. So I know you had a group of arrivals last week, Darryl, didn't you?
Yeah. So they're actually they're Josh. So they're walking around town because they were a large group.
Love.
And they set up bank accounts, got their BRPs, etc. Got a little bit wet because it was raining, unfortunately. And today, having got their bank accounts, they're now passing on their bank details to the trust so that we can actually pay them. So Brilliant. They'll be happy by the end of the week, because we do all their reimbursements as well.
Brilliant. That's one of, I think that's one of the first things you do at Plymouth, isn't it? Is sort out the wages.
Yeah. So.
Right.
So today because of that.
Haven't got it yet.
No, it's definitely gone. So.
Okay.
No, not come through.
Not yet.
I just think the Wi-Fi is just issues. I'll tell you what. See if.
So it'd be really good to know where where people are dialing in from. Which part of the world are our watchers dialing in from? Pop it in the chat.
Right. Just try and share something else for a second. Can you see that? Black screen.
Black screen, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do while we wait for it because it's under major expansion at the moment.
Here we go.
They've got over 30 million expanding
through
the emergency department and also do theatres.
Thank you.
So I'll do video.
We haven't got any sound at the moment. I don't know if there's meant to be.
There is, but it's only so.
Okay, fine, no, it's fine. That's lovely. Thanks, Darryl. So we've just got a quick question based on that. Is what would be the expected duration of stay in the short stay ward? Nancy has asked. So would that be sort of 24, 48 hours?
Hours maximum. Obviously, with current pressures and that, some people do end up staying slightly longer, but that's not the plan. They do try and get them to a general ward if that's going to happen.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So I just saw your presentation, but it's gone again now.
All right, it's all right.
The email hasn't come through, so there's obviously a problem with the internet today.
Yeah, well, I'll just quickly talk about the hospital itself and that. Plymouth is in the peninsula of the southwest. It's one of the very few centres in the southwest that's got a large urban population, and the two main cities being around about 260,000, and Exeter being our nearest sort of neighbours with around. The overall population of Devon is around about 1.7 million, and that by another million people roughly during the peak holiday seasons because we're a big tourist destination. Plymouth is a port city, so we are by the sea, and it also has the largest naval base in Europe. It is known for its maritime heritage, and there's a historic district called the Barbican, which has narrow roads and cobbled streets. It's also the home to the National Marine Aquarium, which you can go and visit and see all the arts and stingrays and stuff like that. But they also undertake lots of extensive. There's also the home of the Mayflower set, so the Pilgrim Fathers set sail for the New World. Back in 1620, and celebrations to do with that. The hospital has more than 7,000 staff who work across over 350 different roles, and we also have a band of volunteers that is over 550 of them that are recognisable by bright orange t-shirts, and they assist the general public and patients alike. There are over 1,000 inpatient beds, of which 41 are for children and 167 a day case, and there are around 1,800 outpatient clinics and 336 community clinics held each year. But as you've seen from the Hereford are expanding constantly. We're going to get more inpatient beds, more theatre space, larger emergency department, which currently has a small area for paediatrics within the adult area, but is going to be divided into purely adults and paediatric zones. The trust operates a high dependency and intensive care units for both general and neuro patients, and also cardiac critical care unit and cardiothoracic services, which cover more than just the Plymouth area, as does the major trauma network that we are part of, where we are the major trauma centre for the Southwest Peninsula. So that's the whole of Devon and Cornwall. Right, it's a massive area. It provides acute and community maternity services and runs around 32 operating theatres currently, with the chance of increasing to 36 shortly. They've got some temporary ones around the hospital currently just to help reduce some of the backlog due to COVID cancellations. The other thing that at hospital is, of course, including the British and also some of the sailing events around the coast. Like I said, the main centre is the Peninsula Trauma Net. It's a specialist hospital responsible for the care of the most severely injured patients involved in major trauma. It does provide 24/7 emergency access to consultant delivered care for a wider range of specialists relating to trauma. Pre-hospital care is undertaken by some of our senior doctors who are part of the air ambulance service, with one of our consultants actually being the lead doctor for Devon Air Ambulance, and we follow it all the way through to rehabilitation with services at other hospital locations within the city, providing rehab for the trauma patients. Darryl Hospital also includes the Royal Eye Infirmary, which currently is situated within the main hospital, but they have plans to build a separate unit away from the main hospital and care for eye patients. We're also responsible for 3 minor injury units, one locally in the bottom of the city centre and 2 slightly more remote, one at Tavistock Hospital and one at Kingsbridge. We also have a child which developmental services in children that provides it by another remote hospital, but is located still in the city. A place called Scott Business Park houses that. There's a Plymouth dialysis unit, which is situated near our education training up at Estover, which is just slightly north, but walkable from the hospital. And we've got a radiology academy for purpose-built radiology training and development. Constantly expanding in a equal population. Right, you probably want to know a little bit more about what happens from your point of view if you come to work for us. Obviously, you've shown an interest, which is why Carly and the team have got hold of you and told you about this event today. So that is your first step, is speaking to the recruitment hub. You'll go through your application. If you show an interest in Plymouth, they will forward your names to us. We will then make arrangements for you to arrive in the UK, where you'll be met by the team. Currently consists of myself, who's a lot of the admin, Tanya, who basically runs our accommodation and gets all that ready for your relation programme to the UK and Plymouth, where we will take you around the city centre, show you the hospital, got UK bank account, UK SIM cards, your BRP is being collected, all your computer access to the trust is available, and the answers. Following that, we will try and get you straight onto currently, some people are on the old legacy system, so they're running 2 programs, so you may have a gap before you go on to the program, back to back between the orientation and OSCE training. Having done your OSCE training, hopefully all of you will pass it first time, and we will put your ward areas as allocated by the heads of nursing, and once you're there, you'll be and got your PIN, you'll be put in the preceptorship programme, which is run by Gary Hallett, who's also in charge of the OSCE programme. Get you all the necessary clinical skills to work. Once you've done this, there's nothing to stop you developing your career further and undertaking some CPD within the trust. And Jackie Williams is regularly pushing out information about courses that are being funded by the trust. I also send that information out to the IR nurses just to make sure that they have received the email, because sometimes those emails do only end up going to the management team, and we're not 100% sure that everyone reads all the bulletins that are put on notice boards by their line managers. We've currently had someone complete their masters at the trust, who's an IR nurse, and we've got a number that are starting their masters pathways in advanced practice at the moment, one of which I've just been mentoring 2 days ago and giving some guidance. So although I deliver the pastoral care for you, it doesn't just stop when you walk out our doors having completed your OSCE training. I'd love to show you the pictures of our current accommodation. most of the other trusts are jealous, I have to say, and I'm sure Carly will agree with me on that one.
Yes, the accommodation is outstanding. It really is. I've just received your presentation, so I'll try and screen share it. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. So we've got ensuite rooms with their studio flats currently right in the centre of Mutley Plain, which is a small shopping area, but very close to the city centre. Our nurses tend to really like it because they can walk to the city centre quite easy, or they can walk onto Mutley Plain, which is literally 30 seconds from the accommodation to get on it, and they can then get. So,
right, hopefully.
Slide 13 might help. That's roughly where I am.
Okie dokie.
That's right. I think I've covered everything.
They've just asked, a couple of them have asked the same question. So how close is the hospital to the sort of town centre?
In miles, we're probably only talking about 2.5 miles.
So a short bus trip.
Yeah, so pretty much the buses to town are really regular. Every couple of minutes you can get a bus into the city centre, but they go various routes to get there. But where the accommodation is, Mutley Plain, pretty much all the buses that go along Mutley Plain will take you up to the hospital. We also do provide a bus pass for 2 weeks to get you up to the hospital, and then you can top that up yourself afterwards.
So there's the accommodation. Look at that.
Yep. So we provide you a food package there, and yeah, unfortunately you can't see the kitchenette there, but there's a hob, a microwave, fridge, some cupboards, etc. Pots and pans, all you need to live.
Yeah. And
like I said there,
do they have a little sort of bit of food in the rooms for when they arrive?
Yeah, there's a food package. So we get fresh food delivered literally the day before you arrive. The reason we do it the day before is because Josh and I will be on a coach, as you'll see shortly, coming up to meet you. Right, you were asking about distance between the city centre. So if you go back one, sorry, Carly. Yeah, so the red cross at the top under the word locations, that's roughly where Darryl Hospital is. Okay, you can see Tavistock Road just to the left of it. That comes down to Manadon roundabout on the A38 or Devon Expressway, and then you take the B3250 all the way down to Mutley where the little house is. That's where you'll be living for 8 weeks. And then just below that, where it says the word Plymouth, that is roughly where the city centre is, the yellow patch under that. So from the house to the city centre is very walkable. We walked our candidates there the last 2 days, not both days, they were split in 2 groups, all right, and had a tour of the city centre and back. It would take you probably about half an hour to walk from Mutley to the city centre.
And it's good, but you've got really good bus service, haven't you, in Plymouth?
It is. So pretty much the whole of Plymouth, you can get a bus somewhere to get there. And the little red symbol just above the word Plymouth, that's the railway symbol in the UK. Okay, and you can spot there's also railway stations around Plymouth as well. So you can always get the train 1 stop or 2 stops or further if you want to go somewhere else.
Right.
It's also really good coach network as well. There's a coach station in the city centre that you can travel, and actually that's the preferred way for people that decide they're going to travel around the UK or even go back to Heathrow to fly home for a period of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. I'll show you some pictures of some of our previous cohorts. So arrival, like I say, Josh and I actually come up to Heathrow to find you. Okay, make sure you've arrived safely, sort out any problems coming through. We had one lady unfortunately lost a bag, but we were there on hand to sort that out, and she got a bag the following day. So that's a picture of the last group actually with all their luggage. We put you on a coach and transport you. You get to sleep for about 4.5 hours from Heathrow as you travel down. All right, and we get you settled and orientated to the accommodation that night. We don't expect you to remember everything you're told, so the following day, Josh, myself and Tanya will meet you along with Laura, who's the landlord's building manager, and we run through a lot of stuff again and give you some more information about that. We then take you for a little walk so that you can find out where things are in your local vicinity. So we just go along Mutley Plain and up it, and that's it, because that will be a Friday. You then get the weekend to rest, relax, or do a little bit of exploring. If we go to the next slide. Okay, so top left, that's in one of the rooms, having a chat and getting you set up on the Wi-Fi in the accommodation. Okay, because it's obviously important for you guys to let people know you've arrived safely, and the easiest and quickest way of doing that is using some sort of social media, i.e. WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. So that night you'll have communications. Okay, and then we take you around various places. The picture to the right is actually one of the cohorts coming down to the training venue. All right, you can see they're excited to arrive. And then the bottom left, that was actually someone's birthday, and we presented her with some cakes outside so they could enjoy them. So, right, if we go to the next one, during your orientation period, 2 weeks, we take you to the hospital. As you can see, rain or shine, cold or wet. So there's one group in the summer, as you can tell, one of them's in the t-shirt, and then one group the other week where it's slightly colder in their coats. But we take you up to the hospital, have a wander around, get to point out some of the key places and introduce you to your managers. Okay, so you can get some communication going about shifts, what the ward does, how it operates, etc., etc. Okay.
You know, one of the things
Having
I love
done all your
one of the things I love about Plymouth, Darryl, is that you've got a bakery right in the front door.
Yeah, I've actually cut off Marks and Spencer's food hall as well, so there's really nice food just outside. All right, that's why I've had to stop working on the hospital site, because I eat too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So at the end of 2 weeks, you go on to OSCE training. Okay, so there's a team of OSCE trainers, which Gary's in charge. Jane leads it, along with currently Jovi, who was an international nurse herself. So she's been through the whole process. So you can quiz her a lot about what's expected when you go to OSCE exam, etc. And she's really knowledgeable and really good. Right, so you do some theory stuff, and the next slide will show you some practical stuff. Okay, and they'll talk you through all these key scenarios and what to expect to pass the exam. Right. I suppose the other thing you probably need to know is what key areas are we looking at. So the next slide, I've just put down the main ones that we're looking at the moment for recruitment. So, there we go. So theatres, obviously, as we're expanding the hospital, we're expanding the amount of theatres we're having. So that's a key area we've been recruiting recently. The emergency care area is expanding as well. So we're looking at that. So what people call A&E. Critical care, medical assessment unit, a couple for chemotherapy. We've had some interest in NICU, and then general medical or general surgical trained nurses. Right, that's it. Has anyone got any other questions?
Lovely. Screen sharing. Right, let's have a look at the questions. So are you able to just expand a bit? So I know you're advertising for NICU. What sort of experience and things would you require for that?
So this is ideally some sort of background that it's a bit confusing, to be honest. They've recruited some and they were adult nurses, so they just ideally need to have worked in that environment where they're with small children. Okay, but if you're if you're not, I wouldn't apply.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So someone's asked, what's a nurse to patient ratio?
Depends on where you're working, to be honest. Our emergency department, for instance, can take 300 patients a day, and there's about 16 staff on during the day. So, and obviously there's a high turnover, so you can't really give a figure for nurse to patient ratio there. Some of the wards, it depends on, again, whether it's day or night, but you're probably looking at bays of 6 generally. And sometimes you take a bay and a half, so you're looking at most 9 patients.
Right, and someone's asked about how long will the OSCE training take?
Training is 3 weeks, and that's not 3 weeks where you're off on the wards. That's 3 weeks, as in 5 days solidly with the OSCE trainers.
And we've got a question here. So I know that you give the first 8 weeks of accommodation is it's paid for, isn't it? It's free for them.
Yeah.
Someone's asked a question about how much does accommodation cost per month. So I guess once we always really encourage our nurses to start looking for housing almost as soon as they get here. We had the last webinar 2 weeks ago. We had Brian, one of our international nurses, talk about the cost of living in the UK, which is available on our Nursing in Devon YouTube channel, Eugene. So I'd advise you to have a look at that. But how much roughly is it, Darryl, in Plymouth per month for? I guess it depends what you're looking for, doesn't it?
It does. So we've had people that decide they want to share in big groups, and obviously it's going to be cheaper. They get a house, like 8 people in a house, and do that for a period of time, and then choose to bring their families over at a later date. And to be honest, they tend to have more success at finding stuff. But we don't discourage people bringing their families once they've done their OSCE and that. Once they've sort of settled and got through all the stresses of that side of it. But you're then looking for, say, 2 or 3 bedroomed houses, and that's a little bit more challenging to find. And it depends on the area that you're looking. So they reckon something like 33% of your wage is what you should be paying monthly on your rent. So I can't remember what that figure was off the top of my head, but I can pass it on to you, Carly, because I've got it in a separate presentation that we deliver now. We started it on the last cohort. We've yet to deliver it to this one, but we're now delivering a presentation on accommodation, things to look out for, the rules about renting, landlord agreements, what's expected from the landlord, what's expected from you. So
right. Someone's asked, can we cook in the accommodation?
Yes, it's got its own kitchen in your room.
And one of the commonly asked questions we get before people arrive in the UK is, do they need to bring cooking utensils? But it's fully furnished, isn't it? Oh, lost you, Darryl. No, absolutely. All of our accommodation.
That's right.
Sorry. So they've just asked about cooking utensils, but the accommodation is completely furnished with pots and pans.
I was saying ours are fully furnished.
Yeah.
You're welcome to bring your own pots and pans, but you could save some of your baggage allowance if you're prepared to buy it when you're here and you know what you need.
Yes.
So, because you'll need it when you move out of our accommodation.
So we've got a question here. Does the trust pay for the training and exams? I'll let you answer that, Darryl.
We do.
Yeah, and it's you get 2 attempts paid for OSCE, is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, but actually it's very unusual for people not to pass within the first 2 sittings in my experience. So someone's asked, can our spouse live with us for the 8 weeks? No, it's single accommodation only. And we absolutely, from experience, we strongly advise nurses to come over, get their OSCEs, get their PIN numbers, and then bring families over. Otherwise it's too much, and obviously we do not provide family accommodation in any of our hospitals in Devon. So come over, get your PIN number, and then bring them over in a couple of months. But yeah, no, it's single accommodation only. How long is a shift?
Okay, again, it will depend on where you work. So if you work a short shift, it'd be 7.5 hours. If you work a long day, then you're looking 12.5 roughly. But it will depend on where you work. So theatres only work 8 till 6, but for instance, emergency department, you might do a 12.5 hour shift. So.
Yeah, so someone's just asked again, for NICU application can be CBT adult. So yes, but they need PEDS experience is what you've said, isn't it?
They need to have worked in that environment to apply for that, yeah.
Okay. So someone's asked, do they need to have theatre experience before they can apply?
If they want to work in theatres, yes, to go straight there. However, once you're in the trust, you've done your preceptorship. If you then choose to move areas, you're allowed to apply alongside anyone else that's working for the trust for any internal jobs, and likewise any external jobs. But obviously, if you move outside the trust within 3 years, then you have to reimburse us for some of the cost of bringing you in.
Thank you. So someone's just asked about requirements needed to apply generally.
Okay, so you need to be a registered nurse in your own country.
Yeah.
Completed part 1 of the NMC, and ideally, I'll probably get this wrong, it's 6 months the hub are asking for, if I'm right. Yeah, 6 months experience as a nurse, registered in your own country.
Right, okay. Yeah, so someone's asked again, but I think we've answered it about nurses bring independence while relocating. So again, come and get your PIN number and then bring your family across. That would be
so yeah, so I appreciate that some people it's a visa requirement that they have to leave with their partners. Their partners can't stay in the country that they're coming from. So I know some of the Middle Eastern countries, once you leave, your partner has to leave, and it's not always good for them to go home. So we have had people arrive with their partners or their children. What they've tended to do is source their accommodation prior to arrival and move straight into their own accommodation. So that is achievable. Quite how they managed it, I don't know. Internet searches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we won't stop you coming if you need to bring your partner, but they either need to live separately from you for 8 weeks, or you need to get your own accommodation sorted and live with them.
Someone's just asked about, so I know you briefly spoke about it, about further career development.
Right, I've lost you, Carly.
Oh, that's okay. Someone's asked about career development ongoing.
Yeah, so once you've got your NMC pin, you've done your preceptorship, all you need to do is find a course that you want to do, or speak to the education team. So most areas have clinical educators that can point you in the right direction. It depends on where you want your career to go. So Carly and I are both nurses, and whatever's open to us from a career development point of view is pretty much going to be open to you. It's where you want to take your career. Now, some courses will require you to meet certain standards before you undertake them, so you just need to read the small print, so to speak. But the trust will fund some stuff, or you can apply for charity funds to help support some of the cost.
Someone's asked about, do you have any choice awards after you've taken your OSCE? So during the recruitment phase, we would try and allocate you in the place where you've got experience. So if you're an ED nurse, you'll go to ED, and you'll know that before you get here. So yeah, no, we absolutely try and link people in with where they've got their experience.
Yeah, that's not stop you if you choose to change places later, but you have to go through the normal application process that you would if you already worked in the UK. Right.
Oh, this is a question. You'll better answer this one, Darryl. Someone's asked, do we need to come with some raw foods?
Okay, that's completely up to you. What I would say is think about travel, think about what it's going to do on the way. Yeah, we can't stop you doing it. The people that can stop you bringing certain items, immigration and customs. All right, so you need to make sure you're allowed to bring it into the UK. If you're allowed to bring it and you so wish to use your luggage allowance up with some bulky items of food, we're not going to stop you. We've had quite a lot of raw fish brought in, I think. You tell by the smell on the coach when we get back down to Plymouth after 4.5 hours. So
that's spoken from experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so Precious is asked about picking up extra shifts.
Okay, so up until you've done your preceptorship programme, we don't encourage you to do any additional shifts because your focus should be on getting fully qualified and up to speed with what you're doing. Once you've done that process, you've done your OSCE and your preceptorship, you can join professionals or other agencies or do additional overtime, etc. on your ward, and there's nothing to stop you doing that.
Right. So lots of questions here this morning, Darryl. So someone's asked, can we request for night duties after they've got their PIN?
You can, yeah. I'm sure some of the wards would be more than happy for you to cover the night shifts.
And I guess it'll be dependent on why you're asking for night shifts, how many other staff want to do night shifts. So I think it probably all depends. So Precious has asked if they must be double vaccinated. That's a yes.
To be honest, if you want to be safe, I would highly recommend it. Okay, there was going to be a law coming in that it was a requirement of all NHS. It's on hold at the moment, but that could change at any stage. So I would say get yourself double vaccinated, get yourself covered, and then you've not got that as an additional burden to worry about when you come over.
Right. Okay. Just working. So is the recruitment process starting soon? We're always recruiting. So please get your CVs into the Devon International Recruitment Alliance, and we will look through them and shortlist you for interview if you meet the relevant requirements. Lots of interest in working in Plymouth. We host about 3 to 4 interview panels a week, so we are constantly interviewing candidates. Do the trust sponsor for visa and flight costs. You pay for all of that, don't you?
Yep. Yeah, we work closely with Jack and get all that sorted. So
someone says, does your pay for weekends and holiday differ from weekdays?
It does. You get enhancements for nights and unsocial hours and stuff like that.
Yeah. And she said, does your work shift include those periods? So absolutely, most of the areas, the inpatient nursing areas, are based on 24-hour shift rotation. So you would be expected to work some weekends, some nights, some weekdays. It'll be a bit of all of it.
Yeah.
So someone said, as an international nurse, what is your main job first when you work in the hospital? Because you haven't taken an OSCE, for example, if they hired you in theatres. So would you be working as a scrub nurse before receiving OSCE?
No. So the way our program's set up is you come in, you do your 2-week induction, you do your 3-week OSCE program, okay, and we try and get you on your OSCE exam as soon as possible. Okay, if you can't get on one straight away, you'll go to your clinical area and work as a band 4 initially and under supervision, but you'll be exposed to everything and start the training in that area to get you ready for when you do receive your PIN. Theatres have education and training team and they will get you up to speed quite quickly and around all the areas, whether it's scrub nurse, anaesthetic nurse or whatever, and it will depend on what theatre you're working in, but they will give you all the support you need to make sure you're functioning where you need to.
Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people have found this really helpful and want to come and work in Plymouth. Someone said, are additional shifts paid for after PIN has been gotten? Yeah, so as Darryl said, once you've got your PIN number, you can start to pick up extra shifts if you want to, but not till then, because you'll have too much on your plate. Yes, you'll get additional pay for night shift. How long is the preceptorship?
So preceptorship's being reviewed at the moment. So currently the IR preceptorship is, I believe they do 3 days, but it's split out over 6 months. The preceptorship's no longer than 6 months anyway, but it's the amount of days that you do study off the wards is what they're reviewing. So they're looking at giving you exactly the same preceptorship program as a normal preceptee, just so that and you learn everything you need to. But at the end of 6 months, that'll be it. What they are offering as well is that you can opt in or opt out of doing a module at the same time, which will give you a qualification as well. So
lovely. Okay, well, there's lots of questions, but I'll carry on working my way through them after this, Darryl. But a huge thank you for coming along. I think we've had the highest attendance today at this webinar, so yeah, that's really great. So let me just share my screen. So guys, I will go through the questions and answer them shortly, but please remember to follow us on social media. We've got a Facebook Nursing in Devon page. We're also on Twitter. Follow us, catch up on the webinar on our Nursing in Devon YouTube channel. It's a free resource, so anybody can watch it. We are back again in 2 weeks with a pension webinar, so to talk about the National Health Service pension that you'll be able to pay into and all the benefits and the reasons why and the reasons not to. So come along to that. And everyone take care. So apologies about the technical issues at the beginning, but we got there in the end. Huge thanks to Darryl and Jack, and we will see you soon. Take care, everybody.
yeah, look forward to seeing you.
Thanks, Darryl. Bye. Bye.
Bye.